As always, this episode of the Talking Wolves podcast is brought to you by Green King Sport, where football is more than a game. Why not make Green King your go-to destination for this season's final stretch? With delicious food and refreshing beverages, every single one of Wolves' televised fixtures is on show at their venues. And with 900 sport venues across the UK, there's a chance as one just walking distance from where you are. And watching football is way better with your friends and family. So why not get the squad together for some title showdowns, the race for European qualification, and nail-biting relegation 6-pointers. So don't forget to download the Green King Sport app to enjoy exclusive competitions and discounts whenever there's a game on.
Hello and welcome back to the Talking Wolf podcast. I am your host, Matt Cooper, and today I'm delighted to say I'm joined by the main man himself, Dave Azzopardi. Just Dave today, but nonetheless, how are you keeping, son?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. Still a little bit tired from the weekend, which I'm sure we'll touch on in a sec. But yeah, other than that, okay. Not too bad.
That's good, mate. What did you get up to at the weekend? I believe you I can't believe you actually went to the game. You're on a UK stag do in Birmingham, and then your next story is you singing Mateus Cunha's On Your Mind.
I know, yeah. I don't, mate.
How do you manage this?
I honestly, I've never. It's probably not an appropriate story for the podcast. But I don't think I've ever been this drunk in my life for a start. So, I mean, the last couple of weeks I've felt like a bit low and stuff, and I thought, you know what, this weekend it's going to be a really good weekend. Looking forward to it. So, yeah, my friend's getting married. He's going on a proper stag do in Budapest next month, but he says he wanted like a UK get together, mainly for the lads that weren't cool enough to be invited to Budapest, but also so everyone can meet each other beforehand. So started in Birmingham Jewellery Quarter because it was the beer festival over there, and then by about 4 o'clock I was like, because I'm not big on beer recently. I'm more like on the spirits and stuff. The beer had knocked me about. So another lad that was going to come to the game with me, I think about 5 o'clock, he was like, should we go now? So we got on the train. We made it to Smevik from Jewellery Quarter, and he goes, right, I'm going to go to Gornal now. I'll leave you to go to Wolves on your own. I was there like, because he didn't want to go to the game. He goes, I'm not going to go to the game. I'm just going to go to Gornal. So he left me on my own. So I'm train full of people. You know, when your jaw starts to tighten up, and you're like, I'm going to be sick here. I thought, I can't. In front of all these people, I can't. Got off the train and rang my brother straight away in Wolves. I said, where are you? And he was like, I'm by the subway. I said, mate, wait there, because otherwise I will not get into this ground. So I'm there walking to Molineux, my Jewellery Quarter free T-shirt from the beer festival in one hand. Get in, and then my brother sorts me out with a water and a pie, and then ended up staying out till 4:30 in the morning afterwards as well.
You definitely got second wind then.
Oh mate, yeah, but I had 4 messages off people saying, "Are you all right?" Like people that sit next to it at the match, so I must have been out of it. Like and saying some all sorts. I've messaged about 4 people saying, "What have I didn't say anything inappropriate to anyone, have I?" Or I've checked all my Insta DMs to make sure I'm not messaging Alessia Russo asking if she's up or anything like that. You know,
at 7:30.
Yeah, you up? Yeah. So yeah, it was a bit of a mess, but we live and we learn. And then I was up for the Wolves women game yesterday, which was an unbelievable game of football, by the way. So yeah, mental.
Jesus, mate. You gotta be careful. You got a reputation to uphold. You're not a nobody anymore. You're somebody. Yes. And it takes one video and Dave Azzopardi chundering on the train from the
mate, it was full as well. Someone sat next to him and I was like, oh, please. If ever a time to throw up, it's not now. But I somehow made it off. I'm sure I was pissed off with myself because I bought a train ticket as well whilst you're on the train. And then I went into Wolves and the barriers were open. I was like, £3 down the drain. There's a pint gone. But, nah.
But you had enough to be fair, mate. Probably did you a favour.
In fact, I checked my bank statement. Thankfully, it wasn't too bad. So we live and we learn.
You know what, though? Proper fan, better than me, for going to the stag and actually making it to the game, despite being in Brum and being pretty shit-faced. So, you know what? Fair play. I didn't make it.
You were saying just before as well, like I did the match review, genuinely don't remember what I'd said. And so I watched it back yesterday, and thankfully, like you said, it wasn't too bad. So I must have remembered part of it.
We were speaking when Gary O'Neill did his press conference on Friday. I was already a bit like about going to the game. I don't know, mate. I know I've said it a few times on here, but I just genuinely feel like quite detached from it, and it's nothing really that like Wolves are doing, or the team, or whatnot. Like just football as a spectacle. Like I know
Mm,
people say about VAR's ruined the game and I'll never go again, but genuinely, mate, like it's just crap. Like football is just not what it used to be for me.
mm.
Even like when you score a goal, like you don't celebrate from the fear of making yourself
No,
look like a twat when it's ruled
the
out.
Coventry one was bad, wasn't it? Yesterday,
Yeah, it's just
121st
even
minute.
watching that as well. Like I was like, oh my god, they've done it. I saying to the missus, and I was like, they've disallowed it. I was just like, this is just crap. And
Mm,
perhaps the right decision was made, but I don't know. It's just, I think if we were still fighting for things on all cylinders, a bit of a fair weather fan, then I'd be like, I can't miss it. But the fact that the season's over through one reason or the other,
yeah.
injuries and whatnot, I don't know. I weren't particularly bothered about going. I'm quite busy at the minute. I haven't really had a chance to see my friends and family either. So I decided that I'd go and watch it in the pub with them, which is nice. I still enjoyed
Nice
it.
changer. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Just good to see. I ain't seen people for like 2 or 3 weeks, but yeah, it was. Gave my tickets to two people who would really wanted to go as well. Both Arsenal fans, made about 100 quid. No joke. Other family members who are Wolves fans, but yeah, it was a nice change. Similar to you, Dave. From the second half, I don't really remember like lots. I've not really been drinking that much, but Saturday I thought, yeah, I'm gonna have a few. I ordered a couple of bottles of wine as well. I don't even drink wine.
Right.
I want a couple of bottles of Malbec. It's part of
Mm.
growing up, mate, part of maturing. But the game, Dave, I know you were telling me earlier, like you don't remember loads, which is fine because we're trying to get Jordan, but George's a bit busy at the minute with work as well. So George was probably the most sensible suggestion to get on because he probably remembers more than Dave and I put together. Um, I felt watching it, mate. I felt proud, right? I felt proud of the performance I put in, considering the circumstances. Like four central midfielders on the pitch against although the faulted in recent weeks in Arsenal, a very very good side. Felt proud, like yeah, you know what? That's what Wolves is all about. And I woke up
Mm.
Sunday morning. I thought, you know what? Fuck feeling proud. We should be, we should expect more from the club, not from the players, but with 7 or 8 games left of the season, we shouldn't just be thinking, oh, well, we've done all right this season. I just felt like, I don't know, like we're not making enough of more, but more should be done. Personally, we knew this. Unfortunately, we could forecast in January that this was going to come with the injuries, and O'Neill did as well. I don't know. It's just that's why I
Yeah.
feel like I can't be asked.
No, I know what you mean. I think when we had the news from the press conference on Friday, uh, I think a few of us were expecting a good hiding of maybe 4 or 5 goals. But the fact that we've gone out there and could have easily gone 1-0 up. I mean, João Gomez hits the post at 0-0 after a decent stop from Raya. You think, hold on, we got a chance here. But I think even with the we held Arsenal quite well. But I think you're right. I think we shouldn't be in this situation. We shouldn't be in a situation where you've only got 10 fully fit outfield players, to be honest. So if Fosun don't get it right this summer or like in the next couple of transfer windows, I don't know what to say because I've had these warning signs the day we came up into the Premier League. We sort of rode our luck on Jimenez for many years as our sole number 9, really. Um, uh, and in the end he got the injury and sort of had to gamble on a couple of people, Fabio Silva included, and now it's sort of happened all across the pitch. So they've got to wake up, really. But yeah, like I said, I think everyone had every right to be proud of the performance. I think we went in there, you look at the bench, 15-year-old on the bench, a couple of academy players that haven't played first team football before. So yeah, they're proud, but also a bit of a wake up call for the board, I think, ahead of the next couple of transfer windows.
Yeah, agreed. And I mean, you look at the stats and you probably think, bloody hell, Arsenal trounced them. But it definitely didn't feel like that. I thought up until the Arsenal goal, we're probably the better side. I feel there's an element of fortune as well with a Trossard goal. It's a slice.
Yeah.
I think he's trying to direct it goals, but I don't think he's trying to do that. But I thought first half, mate, the way that Wolves set up, and it's probably defensively the best we've been in recent weeks. Because I think if there's been a criticism of Wolves over the past month or so, it's been sloppiness in defence.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I just, yeah, like I said, like really proud of the performance, and I think Wolves fans are a simple bunch in more ways than one. But in terms of what we expect, it's just the minimum requirement is to just work your bollocks off, and that's exactly what all of them did. So there's no criticism there. I think if we'd have had some more senior attacking players on the pitch who are used to playing the role, like João Gomez playing like right wing.
Yeah,
Chiraya was obviously 21 and not that experienced, but I think in build up we were great, but it was just that final third that we were really lacking something. And I feel like on a day if you've got two or three players back, then you could get something against Arsenal because they weren't great.
yeah. I think the beauty of Wolves, especially under Gary O'Neill, 90% of the time we look very well coached in terms of how we play football. We've got an obvious sort of plan in terms of how to build up and so on. And I think you're right. I think even Juan, good to see Juan get a decent amount of minutes. But even with Acuna or a bit more pace in there, and Neto in there, I think you have a bit of a better go there. But I, I was happy with the fact that a couple of the lads that haven't had a huge amount of minutes this season, and you would class as fringe players, had started on Saturday and actually made a pretty good account of themselves. I think Boubacar had a really good game.
Yeah.
Tawanda as well, because he's been having sort of snippets here and there, and coming off the bench for stoppage time or last 5-10 minutes of matches. We've not really seen the best out of Tawanda Traore, and there's been times where he's lost the ball or his turn of pace hasn't been brilliant. But I think putting him on the pitch from the first whistle showed a bit more what he was about. And I think technically a very decent young footballer as well, and created some of the moves and was involved quite a lot with decent passages of play. So yeah, I mean there were good elements of the game. Obviously, it's never nice to lose a match, but the fact that remained fairly competitive and still wanted as best as we could to have a go at Arsenal, I think Gary O'Neill could be proud of that.
He said it was one of his favourite performances of the season, despite the result, and I do get that. I thought Chiraya himself did well as well. Like you said, whenever he's come on, it's almost been in difficult circumstances,
Mm,
and hasn't looked great. But when you either chasing the game or seeing the game out, but to see him from the start, um, he looked like he showed some good touches, mate, and some levels of kind of maturity, like when to hold on to the ball, when to release it.
yeah,
Um, I thought he did really well. But Boubacar for me is probably, as you said, the standout. Um, Probably not having a pre-season, or because he was injured at the start of the season, wasn't he?
yeah.
Has probably hindered his chances somewhat of getting into the team this season. Also, the form of Gomez, Lamina, and Doyle as well hasn't helped. But I thought he was excellent, and he gave us a bit of a driving force in the midfield, because I think that's what we need. He was a distinct lack of pace in that team. If anyone was going to go forward, it was him.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, and it was good. He was a young lad that there was obviously a plan. Um, sorry, with this, I was talking about Twander there, but yeah, with Boubacar, even Boubacar's still quite, a young player. He's had international
22,
football,
isn't it?
international football a little bit with Mali under 23s this year, and he's had to be very very patient. And this is what you need from players when they're not really getting the game time. When you sort of put on the stage, make sure you perform and see what you can do. And that's you've done that, and I'm sure there'll be people asking questions now whether he deserves some more minutes or even deserves to start. With the next two games coming up in quite quick succession, both at Molineux, I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of him going forward. The one thing, and I'm not sure if you're going to bring this up, the one thing I wish we saw, although at 1-0, I suppose you're in the game, and obviously Ødegaard scored right at the death, I would have liked to have seen Okadua come on. And I know there's still plenty of time left for that to happen between now and the end of the season. But I think when it's such a difficult circumstances, if you bring him on, one, it's a bit of a message to the board. Look, I'm bringing a 15-year-old kid on, but two, to break some serious records, and to do that whilst you're in a difficult moment as a club, I think would have been nice for everyone, really.
Have you seen him play?
I have, yeah. I watched him most recently in the under 17s last week or the week
Was
before.
he any good?
He's all right. He's quite well built for a lad of that age, to be fair. It would have been interesting. Obviously, playing under 17s or under 18s football compared to Champions League wingers is a bit of a different task. But he's not awful. He's a good footballer. Bright future, I'd say.
Do you not think it's a bit? you know, we get these records like youngest ever player to play. Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would think it brings on like unnecessary pressure. So
I do get you.
if he
Yeah.
comes on and drops a shitter, then people are gonna, and we've seen it already this season. It's almost putting unnecessary pressure on. I don't think the club are probably particularly asked about breaking records either, or Gary
Mm.
O'Neill.
No,
So for
you're
me,
dead right.
I don't mind that. It's probably great that he's getting the experience of being in and around the first team on a match day. But yeah, I just think it brings unnecessary pressure. I mean, some players might buckle under it, some players might relish it, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the
Maybe
rest of the bench as well. I mean, it's full of. I'm not even lying. There were a couple of those people on that bench that were out like on Saturday night. I'm just clocking some of the names there. So I'm not going to say who, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I think Gary O'Neill was desperate to have a couple of digs in the, well, not digs as such, but basically sending a bit more of a message to the board in the pre-match press conference. And he pretty much,
even
as
in the
best as
post
he,
match, he
yeah,
said
I've not,
about
I've not,
Lamina, saying like, "I'm sure you played up there as a kid. Go and have a go." It's like
yeah,
this is like Sunday league stuff.
yeah. So
That
considering the circumstances, they've done okay. They've done
that's
okay.
why I felt proud, but then I hear stuff like that, and it's just amateur hour, isn't it? Not from O'Neill, but just from like the whole management of the situation of just not having enough players. But I think we've been unfortunate in the fact that 4 out of our 5 attackers have all been out. Like teams have
Oh
had
yeah.
injuries, might have had a centre half out and a centre mid, like, but it's literally like decimated that whole area of the pitch. But
Mm.
you know, he was calling for more players, so yeah, I was But yeah, I woke up Sunday reflecting and felt a little bit pissed off. Just on the Trossard goal, do you think that personally? I think Doc should be stronger there against Jesus. I think it's pretty lightweight that he gets bullied with the ball coming in.
Yeah, I think again, I think my brother afterwards was saying like like he wouldn't have been surprised to see a foul given, but I think it's one of those bit of a grey area with the referee. You know, if he gives a foul whilst Trossard hits the ball into the back of the net, the VAR will probably stick with the decision. But like you said earlier, I think it was a slice of fortune by Trossard, but it, it's one of those. We've had him a few times this season where I think a player needs to be a bit stronger, and
Yeah.
but unfortunately, it's one of those.
Mm. I saw, excuse me, I saw a lot of people say a lot of people, a small number of people saying Tommy Doyle was poor in terms of a lot of misplaced passes, but his role essentially was to play as a quarterback and
Mm.
take risk with those passes in behind. You're not going to hit 100% of your passes in behind successfully, especially when got someone else to run on to the end of it. So I think his role within the team from O'Neill would be, look, you've got a great range of passing, just take risks. And with that, then you are going to have misplaced passes. He's not as good as Neves on the ball in terms of spraying passes about. He's not far off, but that's going to happen. So
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah,
and I
you'll
thought
get
he
that with
played
that
well.
role. Yeah, you'll
Yeah.
get that with that role. I think the fact that we played Arsenal twice this season and made bearing in mind how bad we were in the first sort of half against Arsenal at the Emirates, and considering our circumstances this weekend, and I think in that first game we were out, we were without Lamina and Doyle, Lamina and João Gomez in the middle because Boubacar and Doyle both started at the Emirates, and then you put the squad there. The fact that we've been fairly competitive in both of those games, I think shows how, like going back to what I said earlier, how well coached we are. So I don't know. I mean, look, we've got a very tough end to the season. We've got 2 games coming up now, which could be winnable, but we've still got City and Liverpool to play. It wouldn't surprise me if we cause an upset in one of those games.
Mm.
It wouldn't.
I think it'll be. I mean, on the last day of the season, I think it'll be all wrapped up anyway. To be honest, but
Hopefully,
then
yeah,
you got to battle with Klopp's last game, haven't you? So it's almost like a unmovable force, I'd imagine. But
yeah,
what else was I going to say? I was going to say something else, but it has escaped me. Oh well. Um, just before we just be well, that was it. Under Lopetegui last game of the season's against Arsenal. I look at the team. Someone put it on Twitter. I can't remember who. The team we put out and the depth we had compared to this season, we still got spanked 5-0.
yeah,
I think it shows the fight that's been instilled in this kind of siege mentality from O'Neill,
yeah. I agree.
which is promising, which is promising. But can't fault the lads at all, mate. Proud of the performance. Not happy with the circumstances. So Just before we move on to the Bournemouth game, because it's two games this week, mate. So by the time this podcast comes out, we probably only got a shelf life for 12 hours. So enjoy it while you can. I just want to get your thoughts on the tweet from Nottingham Forest,
Oh
because
my
I've seen a
god.
lot of Wolves fans being roped into this. So for those who haven't seen it, basically that Nottingham Forest are in one way or the other insinuated that the VAR official, being a Luton fan, was a conflict of interest against in the Forest Everton game. Especially when you saw the penalty decisions that they weren't given. I think at least one's a penalty personally. I think they can feel a little bit hard done by. But what's your thoughts on it, Dave? Apparently Marinakis was behind it rather than the media
Instigator.
team.
Yeah. Um,
They've got to be slapped with a massive fine, haven't they, for that?
I think like looking from their point of view, I watched the game and well, I said I watched the highlights. I think they're very, very unlucky not to have got at least one of those.
Yeah, I
Absolutely
agree.
ridiculous that they haven't got
Yeah.
some of those decisions. But that is embarrassing. That tweet, like purely, like absolute embarrassment. That is like. I know Forest fans will try their best to defend it, but if Wolves would put that out or a tweet like that, I'd be like, oh my god, like we're actually
Well,
such
I even
fucking
said it was
mean.
embarrassing when Jeff Shea put that statement out. I know you didn't think that, but I thought it was.
I think the thing with the Jeff Shee one was that Wolves at least did it in what I would call a professional manner, like as an official statement on the website. But that tweet that they put out there, like and then blaming the referee as a Luton, the VAR for being a Luton fan, and then it's come out today. I think you posted earlier that
Press
apparently
Association.
they didn't
Yeah.
even complain to the FA
Request
about
that he
that.
wasn't on it. Yeah.
So I just think it's embarrassing, personally, absolutely embarrassing. And out of any team in this Premier League, I want them to go down.
So
I really do.
I don't think they will though. I think it's the bottom three is the bottom three. Saying that, Burnley, we spoke about it a few weeks ago. Like they're putting up a bit of a fight, aren't they? So
Yeah, I looked
I,
at the table the other day, and they're quite close now. Well, I say close,
think
but
I
still
think
got a bit of
Everton will
work
be
to
all
do.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd quite like Forest to go down, but even with the Jeff Shee statement, mate, I just thought we've not heard of you for ages. You're literally putting this statement out personally, thinking from a devil's advocate point of view, just to get fans back on side a little bit with you, to say like I'm kind of with you, but we've not heard of him
Yeah.
from, where were you in January? We needed backing on holiday.
Yeah.
So that was my point of view. I did do the podcast after he released that statement, but that was my 10 pence worth. But they've got to be slapped with a fine for that, because they've not said that it's cheating or but he may as well have. Surely, like we all know, we all
Yeah.
know what you're getting at.
Literally calling it like corruption, like
Yeah,
because yeah, mental tweet, genuinely embarrassing from a Premier League club. That
it
is
is a
absolutely
nuclear
embarrassing.
take from a Premier League official Twitter account.
And then the worst is that Clattenburg's got involved. Obviously, he's on the payroll at the club, and then he's done an article moaning about it as well.
Yeah, we've done an exclusive with the Mail, didn't they? I think.
Yeah, I've not read it, but
I don't think he disclosed in the article that he works for Forest. Obviously, everyone knows he does, but I think there's probably important context for the article when he's going in. But to be honest, mate, the decisions yesterday for them were poor, were really poor. So I get it, but I get why they feel aggrieved. But you can't be going around tweeting stuff like that. Some Wolves fans will probably, and I've seen it already. Will probably say, "No, I agree with them. Fuck the PGMOL." But you've got to be very, very careful when you're insinuating that there's genuine corruption rather than I'd like to think it's incompetence. But yeah, what would happen if Nottingham Forest had a striker who was a lifelong Everton fan? Would they not start him against Everton because of conflict of interest?
yeah, I know.
Mm.
I get the referee thing to a degree, but that's just like the Anthony Taylor from Greater Manchester could have given any of those decisions,
Yeah.
and he was the main referee on the pitch, and he didn't. So
it does kind of reek of focusing on me and the kids from now on. Don't all these snakes out there going to live life with me and my arcade and fuck the rest here. It was very, very, very akin to that. But anyway, mate, let's move on. Oh, before we talk of the decisions, the I don't know if you've seen it, the Kilman tackle. Some people saying it's a
Yeah,
red card. I don't think it is because his foot's not really off the ground. It's light, but for me it's a yellow card.
I saw a
I've
still of it,
seen.
but I don't remember it
Yeah,
as
it,
such.
it,
So
it
let me see if
was
I can.
it was light, but it wasn't like it wasn't over ankle high. It's almost like across the floor.
That's very harsh, and the fact that he stood up as well. I think
Yeah,
like if he's gone diving in for that, I think yeah. But I can only find stills here. I think
yeah,
I don't think anyone's actually posted a video of it.
not a red card for me. But
No.
anyway, moving on to Bournemouth on Wednesday. Bournemouth have come into quite a good bit of form, haven't they, recently? And the Iraolas finding the feet. I know they've not won the last three, but before that, it felt like they were winning every week. Um, do you think that the decision not to include Ait Nouri, Lamina, Sarabia from the start? I know Ait Nouri was carrying a bit of a knock. Is with one eye on this game on Wednesday.
Yeah, probably. I would say so. I think this on paper, if Gary O'Neill knows that extra few days rest or limiting the minutes of those players against Arsenal will help. I think yeah. I think if we win, if I quickly grab the Premier League table up, I think if we win, we get a bit more of a breathing space on Bournemouth. And
Yeah,
look, it's not going to decide who gets European football or whatever, but it will certainly help us secure sort of 10th, 11th place in the league. So yeah, we're sat in 11th at the minute, 43. Bournemouth on 42. So I think I think the lowest we can finish really. I mean, mathematically it's a bit lower, but lowest we can finish is 13th, which I think, considering the circumstances at the start of the season, would still be a nice finish. But sort of going back to what you mentioned earlier, I think considering we were so close to maybe competing with 7th, 8th place, if we finish 13th and ended up dropping points between the Coventry FA Cup game to the end of the season, I think that's frustrating because it doesn't feels like we haven't won in a while, to be honest. So,
we
yeah, I think
haven't. When was the last time we won a game?
was it
We've
Fulham,
not won
maybe?
in the last five in the Prem. I can tell you that.
Fulham, it was, yeah, Fulham, 2-1. Even then, it was a bit of a nightmare with it. So, yeah, I think if resting the players pays off, get a bit of breathing space on Bournemouth, and then hopefully I ain't too, but obviously I want to win on Saturday against Luton. But if we lose and it puts a bit more pressure on the Forest, then so be it. But but now I think actually this week, like Bournemouth and Luton, they're my last games of the season because I'm away for the Palace game at home. I'm not sure if I'm going to do City and Liverpool away. So this week could be my last in person game. So I'm hoping positive week.
Make sure you let people at Wolves know so they can do the lap of honour for you, mate.
Yeah, cheers, buddy. Yeah, if
Just to
they could
see.
do it at Luton because I'm going to miss the Palace one, then that'd be brilliant. Yeah,
Yeah, we'll have a word to what they can do.
yeah, cheers.
Yeah, I think I'll do Liverpool away. Actually, I do like going up to Liverpool. I know it's the last day of the season. It's a Sunday though, isn't it?
Yeah, Sunday
Sunday at
4 o'clock as
4 o'clock.
well. Horrible. Yeah,
What can't
I
we
got
do
done
at
by a
half
speeding
12
ticket
on a
there
Saturday?
on the last day. I got done by a speeding ticket there. I've been paranoid ever since.
Have you?
But,
Is that as you M54 going into Liverpool?
that was no, it was just some like normal street. I was doing 36 in a 30. So on paper, yes, I am speeding, obviously, but I had to do a
Oh
speed
yeah.
awareness course. So
Did you have to attend or did you do it virtually?
yeah, it was before COVID. This was. Yeah. I
Shock. I've
enjoyed
never.
it. I actually enjoyed it.
Don't they show you like? I've never done one. I've never actually been caught speeding, touchwood, or anything like that. But do they not show you like stuff around like car accidents now, like graphic they are or not? Or is
Nah,
that
not really. Nah, it's just
is it?
like a lot of it's like just basic road, and they'll show you pictures of like different roads. They're like, yeah, what's the speed limit there? And you got to basically guess the speed limit. Then they'll then explain why you're right or wrong. It's just dead basic stuff, really.
Uh,
Uh,
sounds good.
yeah, good luck.
Anyway, where were we? Bournemouth. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. About resting players. Do you think there's a chance that Cunha might play? I know he was in the box with Ben Whittaker. Them two are like best mates now, aren't they?
Mm.
Do you think there's a? I know that O'Neill said it's a bit of a rare injury, but he could be back into contention for Wednesday. What do you reckon?
I think if he's on the bench, and great. But I think if he's still not 100% sure, there's no point in risking him. No point in risking it and aggravating the injury. So I don't know. As long as it's a much stronger squad than what we saw on Saturday, which I'm sure it will be, get some of the other lads back. Not too sure. Maybe Semedo might be back. I'm not sure. If not, maybe Saturday. So I know we'll know a lot more. I'm just hoping it's a much more positive press conference from Gary O'Neill on Tuesday. It was funny the fact that he said the good news is that Ryan Aitnori might be in the squad. That was on Friday. He goes, you can imagine how bad the bad news is.
I know he was quite upbeat about it though. I don't think he gives a
Yeah,
fuck anymore.
yeah,
I think he knows the pressure's off him for the results and performances just because of the circumstances.
mm,
So it'd be good to. I think with Semedo, he was just in the red zone, wasn't he? There was a risk of for his calf. So you think Semedo could be back? You think
fingers
Wang
crossed.
will
Yeah.
probably give you another 45 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. Sarabia from the start.
So Huang
Again,
got about
Lamine,
50. Did he get back 50 in the end, Huang, off the
yeah,
top of my head?
50
Or?
minutes. Lamina will probably be back in there. Obviously, still, I think João Gomez might be due a bit of a rest. Um, but with all that considering, it does look a lot stronger going into the game against Bournemouth on Wednesday, who are a good side.
Yeah,
They spent a fair bit of money as well. Spent like 125 million, I think, in the summer, didn't they? Or the last couple of summers, as did we in January when we needed to. But they've got quite a few informed players. Slanky, no, I like Semenyo as well, the winger from Bristol City, who was from Bristol City. I liked him when he was at Bristol. I know when we had my mate on who's a Bristol fan when we signed Dan Bentley and we're talking about Alex Scott, he said that Semenyo is like really good as well, like really good player, like watch out for him and seems to be adapting to the Premier League now. But with the Luton game on Saturday as well, Dave, probably two different kind of tests that O'Neill's anticipating, but quite close together. Do you think he may prioritise the one fixture and go as strong as he possibly can, and then have more rotation in the other, or do you think it could be quite mixed?
I think it'd be a bit mixed bag. Ultimately, he'll want to win football matches. He's not going to be bothered if Luton beat us and sends Forest down. Gary O'Neill's job is to win football matches ultimately, so he'll want to win both games. So he'll have to review the situation, and I'm sure there might be limited minutes. What I don't, well, it's a bit different. Obviously, we've got five substitutes or five substitutions, and we very rarely use all five, to be honest. So I think if one or two more first teamers are back and can give us limited minutes on Wednesday, he'll probably try and rotate a little bit more, maybe slightly earlier in the game, and that will keep some players fresher for Saturday. So I think it'll be a bit of a mix. They're both winnable games for me, as good as Bournemouth have been recently, and as competitive as Luton have been this season. I think really on paper, we should both at Molineux we should win both games.
I know we have a bit of a running joke in our group chat about Rob Edwards and manager of the season contender because everyone, perhaps it's just me being pissing like a bit of an arse about it, but everyone has him as like manager of the year contender, and I'm always like, he's in the bottom three. Like,
Yeah.
how if he keeps him up, I get it, but if he doesn't keep him up, how can people have him as a manager of the year contender? I get that
Nah.
they're on a shoestring budget and they've competed a lot better than other people think, but
I think
you've
I don't
got
think I don't think to manage with it. I think you could definitely appreciate the job he's done, because I think when Luton came up with what tools they had, I think everyone had them pretty much dead and buried from
yeah.
game week one. So the fact that they're still in the conversation to maybe stay up is a great achievement. But yeah, I do hope we could get something from both of these games this week, to be honest.
Mm. I think the Bournemouth game will be a tougher test. They do knock it about nice as well, don't they? But I'm just hoping we can get a couple, like you said, Dave, just a couple more wins or so before now and the end of the season. Because although the situation's different to last season and the season before, we've seen what it's like when we. I mean, it feels like the last couple of seasons we've lost like 7 on the bounce to finish the season, and
Mm,
fans are down in the doldrums. It's shit. You can't be asked for next season. If Wolves go and win 2 or 3 games before the end of the season ticket prices are frozen. You know, Wolves fans are optimistic for the new season under O'Neill if he stays. But I
yeah,
think if we lose the next few games, we'll get one win and a draw, for example. Season ticket prices go up, which they probably are going to. I just feel like it's going to rub fans up the wrong way. With that combined with that, I just feel like we could be back to where we were before.
yeah. That's what I posted on socials on Friday when that news had come out about the team and having to pull a kid out of a science class. And I thought, mate, they can't. I imagine now over the weekend or early this week they post something about the season ticket prices go up. I think if they can afford to, if they can freeze them. I know we have this conversation every other week, but if they can freeze them, they'll get a little bit more credit in the bank. But then they need to back it up again with a pretty solid. Because last year they went up, and I think everyone was like, right, yeah, but as long as they back the team, we get some transfers in, it'll be sound. And they didn't really do it properly. Obviously, we brought players in, but it was ultimately off the sales of Nunes and Neves. So yeah, if they can freeze it, I think they'll gain a lot of trust again.
It's an easy win,
And
isn't it?
yeah,
It's an easy
exactly,
win.
yeah.
Because
So
I still feel like that. Look, the Wolves fans are on board with the manager. It feels like I don't know Lopetegui. Wolves fans quite liked him for the job he did, but with how everything went, I think most people think he's a bit of a twat. It feels like for the first time since Nuno, we've got a manager that we're kind of buying into, and he gets it, and it's the kind of it's at the same level as Nuno, but it feels like there's a strong bond between the manager, the fans, and the team. But I
yeah,
still think there's a chasm between Wolves fans and the board and
mm,
Fosun. And for me, that would be an easy win for them to try and repair that. They might not give a fuck about repairing it, but they should. And I feel like it could be a bit of an easy win. They'll have to take a hit on it, but the match day revenue is such a small percentage for Wolves compared to other bigger clubs. I feel like it's an easy win for them.
Did
I feel
you
like
did you see today? I've not posted on Talking Walls yet about the career thing as well. So there's a new ticketing system on a website in Korea, which basically is linked to the Wolves online ticket system. So on this in South Korea, if you're based in South Korea, you can buy a ticket, but then it's like a group where make sure wherever you buy tickets is next to other South Koreans at Molyneux. So every game there'll be probably a certain section. I don't know how big or small it is, where you're going to know where other South Koreans are. Um, so I don't know when that's launched or if it's already launched or whatever. But I'll have a look into that a bit more. But I think that's a really like if that's obviously the way Wolves have wanted to go, and old school fans probably won't like it. But the fact that that they know they can make a bit of money out of the sort of foreign fans is not too bad.
I think there's a balance to be struck. I feel like as I'm gonna dub them legacy fans for the want of a better term, but as long as you
Yeah,
look after your core fan base and your legacy fans, I don't care about all this other stuff. I think it's great, but it shouldn't compromise the core fan base. Because as we've said many times, mate, we drop into League One again. I don't think anyone's asked about coming home from Korea,
yeah,
and the only fans will be keeping the club afloat is those core fans. So I think as long as you look after those, then I am more than happy with the thing in Korea. In fact, I think it's shrewd from the club. There's obviously an opportunity there too, and it is really important to grow your fan base abroad because there's only Wolverhampton is still a fairly big catchment area for a city, but how many how many kids grow up in Oxford and think, oh God, I watched Adama Traore as a kid, and now I'm a massive Wolves fan. Like it doesn't really happen unless you're a
mm,
big successful club. Like I noticed the other day, I was in the gym and a little lad walked in with a Birmingham accent because talking to his dad. And he had a Man City shirt with Haaland on the back. Like
yeah,
that's come from I'm assuming, but from success of what the club has done. So it is really important to grow those fan bases abroad, and they are going to want to come to games, and people say, well, how about your loyalty points? But there's still, the stadium's still big enough to house a small percentage for those fans. And I've not seen the prices, mate, but I'd imagine they're paying an absolute mint to come
yeah.
and watch.
I've not looked at the full article, but it says that they'll be able to Korean fans will be able to sit in the stands together uh, for a purchase on the official Wolves app. It'll include a ticket to the game in the special section for Korean fans, entrance to the Wolves Museum, a gift card for the shop, and an international membership. So it'll be probably a good 40, 50 quid more than at least of what a standard ticket is, I'd assume.
Oh, it'll be more than that, mate. It'll be
Yeah,
miles more because when I work with Spurs, basically you cannot sell a general admission ticket more than what you would sell to normal fan base.
yeah,
So for you to be able to put a premium on it, you need to wrap it up as hospitality. So like some clubs now, I think United do it. They will sell general admission and hospitality. The hospitality is basically you get a drink in a pub over the road
yeah,
or a social club over the road, genuinely, and they'll charge you £300 for a ticket. When I was working at Spurs, and it's still available now. If people don't believe me, they used to do a thing because obviously Spurs are very similar to Wolves in terms of having a massive Korean fan base because of Son, and like Spurs is huge. The amount of sales they used to get for this kind of thing. It's called Ticket and Travel. So it is essentially general admission, and what they used to do is just give you a Oyster card for zones 1 to 3, which is
Oh
what,
my
like
god.
5 or 6 quid
Yeah.
potentially. And they used to sell tickets for 150, 180 quid
That's
because
mad,
it's
man.
classed as hospitality. But the market's there, and that's how you have to try and grow your revenue. So for me, it's great, but as long as it's not harming those core fans, then I'm all for it. And to be
Mm.
fair, I'll probably create a fucking better atmosphere than we do. Than
The
your normal
atmosphere was
match.
good, mate. The atmosphere was good
Yeah,
Saturday,
it
to be fair.
sounded good. To be fair,
Yeah. So,
just on the atmosphere, something's really bugging me, mate.
the chant.
Something. Yeah, it
Mm.
really is. It really is bugging me because the Mateus Cunha's on my mind song is fantastic, and I know England have got on for Harry Kane, and it's running past the German scoring number 2, and obviously that's the words for Cunha, isn't it? Running past the Albion scoring number 2. It's not scoring past the Albion scoring number 2. It's running past the Albion scoring number
Yeah.
two.
I think
It's
to be
really
fair, on my video that I've put, I only put that video up because obviously my little vlogs that I'm doing. Obviously, I didn't do one on Saturday, but I have got clips where I've tried to do it, and I thought at like the 80th minute, I was like, oh shit, I'm not actually like recording anything. So I did that, and I was very drunk, and I can hear myself in the background scoring past the album. But I think the running will get going again. We'll see
yeah.
on Wednesday.
To be fair, when we had Bruno Lage, I was still singing Nuno Santos' bomb.
Yeah,
Nuno Lage's
yeah.
Barmy Army. So, but it is
Bruno Santa.
Bruno Santo. Yeah, it is running past the Albion scoring number 2. I've seen quite. I put a tweet out, and people saying I've heard this. One sec, I'll grab it now. I've heard dribbling past the Albion, glancing past the Albion, gliding
Glancing.
past the Albion, glancing past the Albion.
I saw someone's suggestions for some of what he changed it to, and they were awful, by the way.
Oh, that was yeah. Owning the Albion after scoring number 2. He's
Oh.
probably listened to the podcast actually, and I was just like, I think it's sound as it is.
Yeah. I think we let
Yeah,
the
might
Southland
need
carry on with their thing,
might need a
but
bit of work, but I like what you're trying to do. But yeah, that's yeah, it's running past the Albion, scoring number 2. Because he did score number 2. I've seen people say it's 1 or 2. It's like no, it's scoring number 2.
yeah.
I mean, who am I to say what it is? But that's what I think it should be. So therefore, that's what it is. Want to move on to the questions, mate?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. We have a question from a Mars Music Show, which is obviously not a shock or a surprise, but he does ask. You can always count on him to ask a good question. So, or her, you don't know, or they don't know if it's. Have you ever met a Mars
2024,
Music
innit?
Show? Yeah,
I think it's male, but we can.
it's a man actually, Derek. So, Mars, if you don't sell any players in the summer, do you think our players out on loan coming back, e.g., Chiquinho, Mosquera, coupled with a small budget for a couple of additions, will be enough to give us a strong squad with depth, or do we really need to sell a big player? Still think, well, they'll make one big sale at least, don't you?
I think they will, yeah. I still think it depends on your loan players who you welcoming back. Because Fabio, say no more after yesterday's antics, is probably not.
Your Dave Starboy tripping up over me.
Probably isn't the one. Guedes, would you welcome him back? I know there would be some more percentage.
Would he want
of
any
people
welcome back?
Yeah,
I think that's the
exactly.
question you want to ask.
And then out of that, other than that, really, there's money in. What I'm saying is there's money there with the loan players, but in terms of bringing them back, Mosquera may come back, but he's been moaning about maybe staying in Spain. Coutinho could come back, but then other than that, I don't think there's a fat lot of quality.
I've got
out
a name
there.
for you.
There we go.
Keanu Hoover. The redemption arc.
You know what? He's actually
Scored
got
again
a
at
few
the
goals.
weekend.
Yeah, but defensively he's awful, mate. He's so bad defensively. But he's popping up with the goals. Maybe Doc version 2.
Doc's got another 2 years left on his deal, so
yeah. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I in an ideal world, I think Fosun would love that if they can bring in 2 or 3 without having to lose one of the big boys. But I think ultimately, for the wheel to keep turning, I think you will eventually see one of Nori, Gomez, or Neto go. But they're the obvious ones.
I was on Twitter last night, and the Villarreal fans, they love Mosquera. They think he's going to be the next best thing. So, which is positive.
Yeah, it depends what you sell him for, innit? As well.
What
But
did
the
they
issue
sign him for? Was it 4 or 5 million?
Wolves.
Yeah,
If that, I think. But the issue is clubs like Villarreal don't have big money to spend on players, so
yeah.
I don't know
Haven't
really.
they got a keeper that we're linked with?
Yeah, is it Jorgensen or something like that? Jorgensen, yeah.
Mm.
Wolves signed Mosquera for about two. I know it's €5 billion. Yeah,
So you're probably looking at 15 million euros, aren't you? Really for
15 to
him
20.
for
I think that's good business for Wolves, really. Yeah. So
yeah. But Gary O'Neill's hell bent that he's coming back. So unless because O'Neill wanted to keep him, didn't they?
yeah, I think. Oh yeah, O'Neill liked him, and I think, but probably knew that he wasn't going to play a huge amount of football. Um, I think the move to Villarreal is very very good. The level and standard that they managed to get him at, and
Brilliant.
the fact that he's playing is a very very good loan. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I think Guedes in the summer have a book value of about 16, 17 million with amortisation. I
figure
don't think
about
you get that much for him. Do you?
10 to 15 maybe tops.
He's going to be on good wages as well. He probably
I think
over.
again Villarreal like him and want to keep him. There was a report last week because he's got a good relationship with Marcelino, the manager. But um, yeah, that I think he'll have to take a big wage cut to move there. I don't know what wage he's on now at Wolves, but yeah,
He's got to be on upwards of 70, 80 grand a week, hasn't he?
yeah.
Because he would have been on
I
decent money
heard as
coming in.
well. Connor Cody at Leicester's on 60 grand a week in Championship.
That's all right to be fair, considering
Yeah,
he's not been playing.
exactly.
Yeah, he was. I watched the game on Saturday versus the Albion. Every time he touched the ball, the Albion fans were booing him.
This is I watched part of the Albion game. This is when I know I was drunk. Actually, woke up a Sunday. Five people have liked your comment. My captain. I got on. It's Connor Cody's Instagram post saying they beat Albion. I commented,
Jesus.
my captain.
Sorry, like I bet he's out texting other birds now. He's leaving.
Yeah,
He's leaving comments on previous
yeah,
players'
yeah.
Instagram. Oh fucking hell. Um, yeah, it was. He's I think the Albion fans don't like him as well because when they beat Leicester, when they beat Albion 2-4 later on in the season, he put an Instagram post saying always good to win this place. He didn't even fucking play. So fair play to him. Once a wolf, always a wolf. Next question. Ethan has asked, do you feel as though replacing Sarr is needed? A worry that replacing with someone who has better distribution could lead to a keeper with weaker shot stopping? I think as a shot stopper, he's among the best. He's just a middle of the road Premier League goalkeeper who excels in shot stopping. His distribution's wank. We said this before, though, haven't we? And there is a lot of links, but it all depends in terms of prioritisation from the start of play, how important O'Neill deems the
Raw
distribution.
player. Well, have you seen today? He's just signed with a new agency, Jose Sarr today.
Uh,
So I don't know if that you know says anything, but I saw Ramsdale linked again the other day.
Might go down well.
Yeah, I read the article. I'm sure there was a couple of goalkeepers actually that were linked. I can't remember,
It
but
was Patterson as well at Sunderland,
that was
who
it.
I
Yeah,
have
we've got
touted on
mentioned
here
it
a couple
before.
of times.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's lads in this group chat. I mean, I don't rate their ball knowledge very highly, but they like adamant we've got to get Ramsdale in. I'm like, but you're just saying like he's not very good with his feet, but it's pretty obvious that the reason we'd change Sarr is to get someone good with their feet. So
He's
you
better
know,
than for me. He's better than Sarr, but I just can't see it being a viable option because of the money they'd want for him.
because they
He's
paid
going to be on.
just under 30, didn't they, for him?
They're going to have to take a hit on him. They're going to get just because he's been extradited, hasn't he? He's been
Yeah.
from the squad.
The,
I think.
it's one if you can guarantee now that he would be your first team goalkeeper for the next 5 to 10 years, I think you'd do it because he's only 25. But it's just he's hot and cold. I think he's like Sarr as well. He's got a couple of clangers in him.
Yeah,
Very very picky again. I think Sarr should have done better for the second goal on Saturday
yeah,
as well
I
to be
agree.
beating his near post. But
I agree.
in terms of his shot stopping's brilliant. Sarr, he's had good games and he's had frustrating games this season. But it's pretty obvious if you want to in modern football now, you've got to be play out from the back, and Sarr just can't do that.
Yeah, he's like I said, middle of the road guy. I don't think I will be astounded if Wolves go and drop 20-25 million on a goalkeeper.
Right, especially when there's like much more pressing areas of the
Yeah,
field.
I will be astounded if they do that. Well, depends what they get for Sarr. I think they'll still get decent money for Sarr if he goes
What do you
Saudi
think?
or
Like
whatnot.
15 mil or something?
I think if he goes to Saudi, yeah, 15, 20 mil. But
Let's see.
oh CM914 on Instagram was asked favourite Wolves front three: Dicko, Furby, Sacco, Jota, Raul, and Adama, Hwang, Cunha, Neto.
In order, probably Raul, Jota, Dharma, Dicko, Fobi, Sacco, and then Hwang, Neto, Cunha, bottom.
Agreed. He said why?
I was going to say not so much in terms of quality, because obviously Cunha and Hwang and Neto are good, but I think in terms of nostalgia and memories and what they did for the club at that level, I think obviously Adama, Jota, and Traore are unbelievable for a couple of years together. Dicko, Fobi, Sacco, arguably
Fun.
one of the most
Very fun.
iconic front three that we've had. You know, we did very. I looked at the league table again of that championship season when we went up under Kenny Jack. So we went up from League One to the championship. I can't believe how close it was to us getting the playoffs that year.
Your goal difference.
It was on goal difference, and I think it was about 4 or 5 goal swing because we slapped Millwall or something on the last day of the season, if I remember. Oh, gutted.
3-0 when you last season.
Nah, I'm sure it was like some mad result. Like we beat him like, what did you say? 3-0.
3-0.
I think it was more than that. I think it was more than that, you know. What year would that have been? 2015?
Oh, now you're asking. Not
Oh
sure,
no, it's
mate.
4-2. We beat him in the end.
Did.
Yeah. So
Oh yeah, mine would be the same. Although I love like Cunha and Neto and Wang, I just think that the front three of Adama, Raul, and Jota on their day was even the top sides couldn't live with them.
yeah, exactly.
For me, that's and Jota 100 goals in England now.
I saw that. Yeah, nice graphic from Sky
Absolute
Sports.
bagsman, mate. What
Yeah.
a player he was for us. A final question, because I really need the toilet. What do you think? What do you guys think Fosun's vision for the club long term is? That's from Tommy Turner. Well, Tommy, I don't know if you listened to the last podcast, but we did have Johnny Phillips on from Sky Sports, and he gave a bit of an insight into that. But despite rumours, suggests they're not selling up. They're still looking for external investment. That hasn't changed. They're very much committed to the club still. So.
If people haven't watched that podcast, even if you skip to maybe like the halfway point, there's loads of good snippets in that podcast from last week. Obviously, the first bit's just talking about the Forest game, but if you go from about half an hour in, there's some really good snippets about the future and stuff. So definitely worth a listen if you haven't already.
Absolutely. I think that's a good place to end it, mate. A little shorter one this week, but get it out very sharpish, and then before the game on Wednesday, I'll be back next week, next Monday with another pod. But enjoyed it, mate. Where can people find you if they wish to follow you, mate?
It's at David's a Party on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
Wonderful. We are talking Wolves across all platforms. If you are new here, please drop us a subscribe. If you've liked the video, make sure you hit that like button. And if you're listening on Apple and Spotify, please leave us a 5-star review if you have enjoyed it. And until next time, hopefully 6 more points on the board. We're all feeling a little bit happier. And we've all had a fantastic week. But in the meantime, take care and look after yourselves.